Hey homeschool friends, welcome to the next update video. So this is my January update video for how homeschooling has been going. So there's been a lot going on and I will share that shortly. But as for January, I would say the first 3 weeks went really great and there's only been a couple of changes which I'll get into during this video. So stay tuned for my January homeschool update. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to the channel if you are new here, and welcome back if you have been coming for a while. So with these videos, I tend to start with a bit of a life update, go through family subjects, and then the individual subjects for each of my kids. It's very casual. I tend to just chat about what's going on. Often I seek your help, which I always appreciate. But I'm gonna hop in to our kind of life update stuff because there has been a lot of things going on. First, if you can tell by my voice, which I apologize if it's too bad, but we had COVID. We have COVID. We still have COVID. It started with my daughter. She got a high fever and then she was tested positive for COVID, and then it just ran through our whole family, and the kids did great. I mean, they were sick for like less than 12 hours maybe, but my husband and I definitely got the worst of it. I'm on day like 8 or 9 and it's still in my voice, it's still in my chest, and so I mean, we're fine. It's just kind of lingering a bit. That's just how it's going around here. So on top of that, I mean, COVID in and of itself is hard. But this past month or so, we've been preparing for my husband to have a major surgery, which I won't share too much about that just to keep it private for him. But we've been in this like mode of getting everything prepared, and then he was gonna have surgery, but then we got COVID. So now it is postponed like another couple months. And it just throws things off. It makes us a little bit more stressed. It makes the kids a little uneasy. And I've been trying my best to keep things really kind of normal and steady for them. And we've been doing a pretty good job. We were definitely preparing prior to COVID. And now we're just waiting to see what happens. I mean, if you are the praying sort, I would appreciate your prayers. Just for kind of a steady heart going forward. Just because there's been so much up and down and kind of craziness. But yeah, I would really appreciate that. So that's life. That's life. But let's go on to the homeschool update. So I'll start with family subjects. And I think like every other update video I have made this year, my favorite subjects are family subjects. We do Sunlight, so we're doing history, Bible, literature, and science through Sunlight, and I love it. My kids love it. It's going really well. I finally put out my review / flip through of the Sunlight Science, so I'll link that above if you didn't have a chance to watch it or if you are interested in Sunlight Science. I love it. It's really good, and I kind of dive into why I like it in that video. As for the history, we love it. It's just a great way to learn little bits of information. My kids are always requesting to do the history. They like doing their little timeline books. We like pulling out the big map and showing where things are happening, so it's very casual geography and just all the great history books my kids just have really liked. Like we went through like the Lewis and Clark one. We just started Why You Wouldn't Want to Be an American Pioneer, and they're liking that. I think they're just great. So we have been enjoying Sunlight. Same kind of story, so I'll kind of move on. But read alouds. I have lots of read alouds to update you on. This is probably my favorite part of these videos. So I have a stack here of books that we finished off in December and then January, because I didn't have a chance to talk about the specific December books when I was doing kind of my mid-year update video. So my plan is to do that right now. So let me start with the books that are scheduled in the Sunlight HBLK. So we have read these two, and we're currently reading this one. This one first. So Roxie and the Hooligans by Phyllis Reynolds Nair. You guys, this was super cute. It is about this girl who's kind of picked on and bullied by this group of kids at school, and then they unexpectedly get thrown together on this adventure, and they're still trying to bully her, but eventually she shows that she can help them, and they become almost friends. And as they're kind of going through this adventure, it is so much fun. It's so sweet. My kids loved it. Even my son, although he tends to not like books that have girls as the main character. I'll take that back. He tends to not think he will like books about girls with the main character, but he always does. He always does. I just have to get it started, then he wants to read it. And it's the same with this one. So this is called Just Dance by Patricia McLaughlin. And she's the author of Sarah Plain and Tall, which I haven't read, but I have it on our shelves. We just need to pick it up sometime. So this is a cute story. I would say it hasn't been my kids' favorite, but they liked it and they enjoyed it. It's just about this family who the mom used to be like this famous opera singer, and then she married the dad who owned a ranch in Wyoming, and then they started having a family. And so the mom left singing for the opera. She left being famous for her family. And the daughter, who is like, I don't know, preteens, she is kind of wrestling with that idea of like, why would her mom do that? Are we worth her sacrificing everything for? And it's just really cute. And my kids really liked it because the main girl on here, Sylvie, she is a writer. So she kind of has this little column and she makes haikus and all of these things. And it's just really, really fun. They liked it. I'm not saying they didn't like it. It just wasn't as much of a favorite. It's just kind of a slower story. But that's fine. It was still a really good story. The next book we are reading is this one, Boxcar Children. It's the first one. And it's cute. We've actually tried to read this a couple years ago and we didn't get very far. But it's part of our Sunlight program. And here's just a kind of fun tip for those of you who use Sunlight, is I always pull out the questions for the read alouds and I just fold it up and I stick it in my book. Granted, they get a little bit more beat up, but when I'm reading, I use it as my bookmark and then I have the questions right there. I don't have to pull out my binder or anything like that. And so that's just kind of a great way to do read alouds, I have found. But I mean, this is a classic story. We've really enjoyed it. The kids like it, even though it is kind of slower and it has older language. They still really like it. It's just such a solid story. To the point that my son, who loves audiobooks, like I talk about a lot on this channel, he just went ahead and looked for a bunch of Boxcar Children on the Libby app, and he found some, and he's just been listening to those, which has been really fun. So those are the ones we've been reading during the day, during school time. But as for our nighttime reading, we've been reading some great books. So what we were reading in kind of December up into the new year were these two books. So again, my son and daughter, 8-year-old, 6-year-old, don't always agree on what books we should read. Usually we end up with a boy book and a girl book. And then they both love both books. So we picked up this book, which is Sled Dog, and it was, I believe this is part of the Sunlight HBLA program. Yeah, I think it's A, because we skipped A with the big kids, but I ended up picking up HBLA used to use with my twins. So it's been a good source of extra readers. And this one's great. This has been great. I know some people say they don't like this book because it's a little bit of a slow start. And it is about this boy who runs a sled dog school as part of an assignment for his math class where he's not doing very well. He's not very good at math, but he's really good with sled dogs because his family has whole teams and kennels and all this stuff. They run sled dogs. So he's really good at that. So he thought he could run this school to make money to do this project. And it's a great way of watching him as he struggles with different things, making friends, being a business owner, things like that. But what I really loved is very specific for me and my family, is the boy in here likes to whittle. And I have shared this on this channel that my son loves to whittle. Like, he just had his birthday and I got him like this whole set of different carving knives, and I'm looking up classes on Skillshare to give him some instruction because I don't know how to whittle. And so, but it was really fun to have a character that he could totally relate to in this book. So that probably was my favorite part of this book. I mean, the kids loved it. The story was good. They were rooting for him. It was really fun. And then there's this book, which my daughter loves this series. Like, we have checked out all the books from the library, not as read alouds, but as audiobooks, and she has listened to them all. And so these are the Maisie Hutchins mystery series. And so this is the first one, The Case of the Stolen Sixpence. So we read this out loud. This actually came as one of the Sunlight summer readers last summer. It's so cute. It's just this girl who wants to be a detective, but she lives with her grandma, and they run this boarding house, so she's always helping in the kitchen and all these things and going on errands, and she wants to be a detective. And then some things start happening that she can start to investigate, kind of like behind her grandma's back, and it's just really cute. Oh my gosh, these are so cute, and my daughter just has loved all of those. And so as for what we are currently reading, so again, 2 books. So this is for my son. It's a Hardy Boys mystery. And then my daughter is the Snazzy Cat Capers. So Hardy Boys, I like Hardy Boys. I think they're really clever. I like all the words. Sometimes the words are a little old-fashioned, but not always. And it has some good vocabulary. And I just enjoy the adventures. And they do too. Like, they get very kind of like into it and like almost a little scared if like the brothers are doing something that's a little bit like intense. but is so much fun. So I really like the Hardy Boys series. And then like I was saying, we are also reading this book. So it's the Snazzy Cat Capers, and this is the first one. And this is just a cute, it's almost like a mystery book as well. It's about this main character who is a cat burglar, but there's like this institute for cat burglars. So the main character is a cat, a girl cat. And we just started, so I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen here, but there's some adventure, and it's really fun so far. So we have enjoyed all of those read alouds. I will list them below if I think about it, but we have really liked all of those. Okay, on to my second grader. So I'm just trying to think. His subjects have gone really well. Math has gone really well. I mean, we're actually ahead in math, and so this past 2 weeks since we've had COVID, we've kind of been taking a step back from math because we were ahead, so we had a little space to do that and still finish at the end of the year. And as for language arts, I feel like we're pretty much where we were before. We're combining Abeka and All About Reading, and I've explained that in a number of videos. That's still going really well. We always have our All About Reading day on Thursday, the last day of our homeschool week before his enrichment day. So we always do All About Reading then, and so we are able to get 2 lessons done in a day. So that's working really well. His reading is definitely taking off. We're picking up extra books like the Hey Jack books that are, I think they're Usborne books, and he's really liking those. And I picked up some extra early readers for him. So we're there, guys. We're almost there for him to kind of just really take off. So it's been really fun to see. As for the rest of it, handwriting's going fine. We're still using Abeka. All About Spelling's going fine. I just actually finished up level 1 yesterday. So we're going to start level 2 come next week. So that's great. He's totally doing well there. And then the last thing we did start, which I might not have talked about too much, is we did start the Essentials in Writing, grade 2. That's the one with the DVDs of Mr. Stevens where he teaches the kids both grammar and then writing. And the first chunk of the program is grammar, second chunk is writing. So we're working our way through the grammar a bit, and then I think my plan is to interweave some of the later lessons on top of the grammar lessons, so we can get a little grammar as well as start to do some of the creative writing, because that's the part I'm most curious about this program, is how it teaches that creative writing, how it teaches to set up paragraphs and the intro sentence and how to have the 3 main points, things like that. I'm curious how it teaches, and I'm curious how well he does with that kind of instruction. So that is where I'm at with that. So I will be updating you guys for sure on Essentials in Writing and how it's working. But I'd say the grammar part and the DVD part and the worksheet part is going really well. Like, he likes it. He likes to go watch the DVDs. It's not a problem. So I'd say his language arts is pretty smooth sailing. As for my daughter, math, again, it's going fine. We're still using Saxon, which I forgot to mention for my son, but we're still using Saxon, and it's going just fine. As for phonics, we're also using Abeka and All About Reading. It's going fine. My daughter is picking it up. She's definitely blending well. She's getting more confidence, especially when we're combining both programs. To have the Abeka up front and then follow it by the All About Reading, she feels so much more confident with her All About Reading, and she's just doing really well with it. So I'm loving that. And then I was planning on starting her in All About Spelling. I think I mentioned that when I was filming my Get It Done With Me kind of holiday homeschool prep video. I'll link above if you guys didn't see that. I was thinking of starting her in All About Spelling level 1, but I've decided not to. I've decided to wait until she's done with All About Reading level 1. It just is simpler. The programs go together. It's simpler, and then I know for sure she has what she needs to start that. And then we can just focus more on phonics. And so I just tabled that. I tried it for like a day, and then I tabled it. So that's fine. And then with her, I did pick up the Lightning Literature, which I mentioned in that video as well, and that's been going really well. So I'm not using it like it is written. I love the program though, because I like the books. So I'm using the books, and we're chatting about kind of the plot and things like that. But I'm mostly using it for the grammar. And I had all those leftover worksheets from when my son did it. He did the first 7 weeks of the 36-week program. So I just taught some of those grammar sections and then started at week 8 with her. And it's been great. We can work through some of those ideas of compound words and, you know, capital letters, periods, things like that. But we can also be reading these books. And it does not take us long. And it's like just, I like it because I get to utilize a program that I really liked. I'm just not using the parts that I don't like. And so it's a perfect stopgap in the sense I want her to have a little exposure. It's not a big deal. It's definitely not top tier priority, but a little bit of exposure, and I have the resources. So I don't have to go get anything. I have the resources, and then I'll be more prepped for her to enter next year, which is more of her second grade year. So that's going really well. So as for my preschoolers, you guys, this is probably the part of the video where I need the most help. So they are 4 years old. They turned 4 in November, and I have not really been doing any preschool with them this year. I had some plans, they fell through, and that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. They've been going to 3 mornings a week of preschool just down the road, and that's been wonderful. I'm just anticipating next year, and I'm starting to kind of feel a little bit anxious, to be honest, because I want to bring them in, but I'm struggling to figure that out. So what I have is I can put them into the afternoon preschool for 4-year-olds, like 2 days a week, which I'm still thinking about doing. I think that's just good for them. They love their teachers. It is a really sweet preschool program. So I'm probably still going to do that. But I also want to teach them, to bring them in. And I'm kind of struggling to figure out how. I have the resources. Resources are fine. Like I'm thinking of doing the K4 Abeka program, even though they'll be kind of 4 turning 5. I think that'll be perfect. And then I'm going to do the Sunlight, one of the Sunlight programs, either the 3-4 or the 4-5. I have a lot of the resources. So I have the resources. I'm not too worried about that. And I don't even have to use them as written. That doesn't bug me. What I'm worried about is how to do it, how to find the space to teach them kind of some basics of that alphabet and stuff like that, while still doing as much as I'm doing for the big kids. And it's funny because I have homeschooled my other kids at these ages, at the 4, almost 5, like time frame, and I was fine. It's just there's a complete difference in first child 5-year-old and like third and fourth child 5-year-old when you have young kids. It's not like I have independent learners. My big kids are not independent learners yet. So I would love your advice for those of you who have brought on your youngest. Like, how do you do that in a way that you feel like you're doing them a service, like you're not forgetting about them, which is hard because the other kids seem like they demand more time, but I don't want to sideline the twins. So anyway, I feel like I'm starting to process that idea. It's that time of year for me to start thinking about next year, not like ordering things, but just to start the ball rolling on thinking about that stuff. And I'm just not sure my plans. So I would love your guys' advice on 4 or 5-year-old, because they'll be almost 5 by the time fall comes around. So I'm not going to call it their kindergarten year because I don't need to rush them by any means, but they'll still be almost 5. So love your thoughts. Put those down below. But anyway, that is what I have for my update. I mean, it's just been a little bit of a crazy life season, but homeschool's going pretty well. We're pretty flexible. I've gotten some stuff done. I've pushed a lot of stuff, and we might have to kind of go a little bit more into June this year just because of surgery and COVID and everything, and that's okay. That's why we homeschool. We have the freedom, and I love that. So anyway, I would love to hear from you guys. What are some of the things that you have going on? How did January start out? How are you feeling? To share that all below. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to, all those things. And otherwise, I will see you in the next homeschool video. Okay, guys, I'll see you later. Bye.